Mhm. All right, we are live. We're live on the Pan African Daily TV. People, as you can see, our great professor is already here. And today is going to be that day. Today is that champion day. We want to talk about Africa issues. We want to talk about his trip to Ghana. And we also want to talk about the current updates. Like I just asked, and Professor said it would be a crime if any speaker that would be here would not mention the current situation on the continent. That would be a crime. And I do agree. So while we're connecting and expecting everyone to join, let's just warm up with the jingle and get used to it. Thank you so much for connecting.
You are watching the Pan African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tata. The Africa we want: unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherlands calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.
Wonderful, wonderful. Good evening, good afternoon. Greetings to all of you watching us from all over the diaspora and the continent of Africa. As you can see, our great professor is sitting right here with us in the studio. And today we have everything to talk about. I know we've been waiting and waiting for this moment. As you can see, our topic for today is Professor James Small Ghana Tour 2023, but also the current happenings on the continent of Africa. We've been seeing, we've been hearing, we've been listening, we've been actually adding our voices to everything that is happening on the continent. You can see all the teachers of Pan African Daily, the godfathers, the fathers, the mentors, the teachers, the professors, the big, big voices of Pan African Daily TV are here today. And I want to thank all of you that are connecting from all over the continent and all over the world, joining us on this special exclusive edition here today. So welcome, Prof. Thank you. Welcome to the show. Welcome to your house. Welcome to your family. Everybody has been waiting for you, Professor James Small.
I'm happy to be back. We're in a very important time right now in African history, and we have to be very clear and decisive. African people worldwide, we're nearly 3 billion people, need to stand up in support of the continent of Africa and in support of the natural resources of Africa being used to develop Africa first. And anyone who is not for that is an enemy of African peoples worldwide. And we need to be very clear. But first, we'll talk about my pilgrimage to Ghana. And I was hoping I could get to Cameroon, or Sister Tata could have gotten to Ghana, but we were both busy in our separate places. But we did go on a 15-day pilgrimage. It was 28 of us, and we had 3 of the most beautiful little children. I think one was 7, one was 10, and the other was 11. And they had a wonderful time. Never missed a day. We covered much of Ghana, the western region, the central region, the Accra region, the Volta region, the Aquapim Mountain region. So we went through 5 different regions, crossing multiple cultures and interacting with the people along the way. We even toured the botanical gardens, and Ghana has a magnificent botanical garden and herbal forests. We did the canopy walk in Kakum, and I didn't do the canopy walk. I did it years ago. That's enough. An old man don't need to be walking above no trees. But most of the people did, and they had an enjoyable time. They got over the fear. And most people who don't know what a canopy walk is, It's a net rope bridge that's about 10 stories above on the top of the canopy of the rainforest. And you're looking down into the rainforest while you're walking for quite a few yards. Um, it's a fantastic sight. And those who didn't want to do the canopy walk, they went on the tour of the herbal gardens and
Okay.
the forest and all of the fauna and herbs that's used for medicine in Ghana. And people
Mm.
love that one as well. We went to Busia Museum in the Western region. It is the best presentation of a museum on African people that I've ever seen. The presentation was just done right. It's in the city of Esukado in what was called British Sekondi in the western region of Ghana. The king
Mm.
there is Nana Kwabena Nketia V, who's an extraordinary man himself. And he was our host. At his palace, we had a naming ceremony for all the
Mm-hmm.
people on the tour, and it was done in the indigenous methodology, um, with all of the blessings of the queen mothers and the priests and the priestesses. They were given to wear, the garland around their neck. Their face was washed. They were given
Mm-hmm.
the eggs. They were given different things that they had to take and spit 3 times and then ingest on the third time. They were
Mm.
given to taste the water and they were given to taste the palm wine. It was a beautiful ceremony. Everybody loved it. And they were given a name from one of the royal families that settled this area. And that family adopted them into the family as one of
Mm-hmm.
the members of family. But one of the things that Nana took us to that blew my mind, and he had never told me this before, we went to the very house where Kwame Nkrumah and Pa Grant and those men who started the revolution to free Ghana from colonialism, the very house they met in. And what was beautiful, there was a woman sitting there, 100 years old, who was one of the young women that was serving them food and water during the meetings and the great strike that the rail workers had put on in Esukado, forcing the hand of the British. And this is the house where the British came and beat most of them down when they arrested Nkrumah and others. It is a major historical site that
Mm-hmm.
should and is being preserved in Ghana. There's a part of our history on how Nkrumah was even chosen to be put in front of these extraordinary men and women who had started the movement even before Nkrumah came back from America.
Mm.
And the very house that they were meeting in day after day, week after week, is still preserved by the people of that community. So we had a wonderful historical tour and experience there. And then, of course, we toured the port city of Takoradi. And then we went to the central region. And in the central region, our first stop was the first slave dungeon in Africa, Elmina, which is the most emotional one for all people. We only go into that dungeon, concentration camp, hall of genocide against our people. We wear white for the ancestors. That was very emotionally traumatic for our people, but they got through it. It's something we got to do. We got to remember. We should never forget, never ever forget. And
Absolute.
that was important. And after that tour, we rested at a beautiful hotel in Cape Coast. And the
Mm-hmm.
next night we had reverential night. But we went through a candlelight march with hundreds and hundreds of residents of Cape Coast. For about 2 miles, we marched with our candles to remember the marches our ancestors took on the way to the slave dungeon.
Hmm.
And when we arrived there, the kings of the region greeted us and granted us access to this place where about 2,000 people sat. He had beautiful cultural music, choral, drama renditions from African Americans, African Caribbeans, people from Barbados, the United States, Brazil, coming together with Ghanaians, people from Nigeria, and governmental officials and Panifests and Emancipation Day officials in Ghana. And we carried that ceremony until midnight, which marked the 1st of August, which was
Mm-hmm.
Emancipation Day. The next day, we went to a place called Donkrosun, it means the slave river, and where we
Mm-hmm.
took our last bath before we went into the dungeons. And while there, the place is called Asin Manso. And this is where thousands of our people died trying to escape. In the long march from the east and the north into Ghana, they would stop there to bathe them. And this is the point where many would die from the stress of the trip or would die trying to escape. And so this sacred
Mm-hmm.
forest was preserved by the priests and the kings for centuries. And 25 years ago, they allowed myself and others in the government of Ghana to come into the sacred space and choose this as a pilgrimage site where
Okay.
3 bodies from the West have been taken. 25 years ago, I accompanied with Sonny Abubadika Carson and others a body from America. Minion Phillips, along with Bob Marley's wife, accompanied a 400-year-old body from Jamaica. And then recently, Barbados bought a 400-year-old body from Barbados. And they're
Mm-hmm.
entombed there as ancestors to be respected and revered. And so that was a beautiful moment. And it used to be a funeral Durbar, but we've turned it into a celebratory Durbar for the ancestors. And the funeral Durbar, you know, is when it's very sad, you wear the black and the red. So we've taken off the black and the red, and we wear colorful clothing, and we have colorful dancing to celebrate them. This is thousands and thousands of people. And the audience was addressed by the president of the nation. And I was shocked because there was over 2,000 to 3,000 diasporans there. And a woman came to me and says, "You're speaking next." And I go, "No one told me I was to speak." He says, "Oh, when the president's finished, they want you to speak." And I asked the lady, I thought maybe she was joking. I don't even know this lady. She was just sitting there, but I guess she was someone in the intelligence force. So I went up and I spoke on behalf of the diasporan and what it meant for us to come from around the African world, from the UK, from France, from the islands of the Caribbean, the United States, Central South America, and to celebrate our ancestors with the people of Ghana and other parts of Africa who had come. There were people there from Cameroon, there were people there from South Africa, there were people there from Nigeria and other places. And I remember the lady I met from Kenya who
Yes.
came together to have this great celebration at Asin Mensa, which was magnificent, beautiful, with all of the traditional dancing, all of the chiefs and kings in their traditional regalia, with the staffs of the linguists lining the pathway where the traditional leader greeted the contemporary president of the nation. The contemporary president of the nation greeted the traditional leader. And it was a wonderful time. And after that ceremony, we returned to the capital of Accra to rest. Because there was a pilgrimage, so we had no leisure moments. And what was so beautiful is some of the pilgrims traveling with me was in their 70s, but they never flinched one day. They never asked for a day off. And so we rested one night in Accra, and then we went to the Aquapim Mountains. We went to Abori Gardens, the botanical gardens. We toured and walked all over the place. And it happened to be Founders Day. So thousands and thousands of Ghanaians with their children and the families was picnicking and eating and dancing and playing soccer throughout the botanical. It was just a sight that was extraordinarily beautiful to watch Africans enjoying their Africa.
Exactly.
To watch Africans enjoying their Africa. That was fantastic. And when we left the botanical gardens, we went to a Afro-Kiko riverside restaurant on the Volta River and had lunch. You couldn't beat that. with
You
fufu
can't beat
and
it.
kinky and okra stew and jollof
Ah,
rice and whatever else you wanted. And then we
fufu
went
and
from there.
okra soup.
I gained
I
about 20 pounds in 2 weeks, it seems like. So after we left there, we went to the Volta Hotel to
Mhm.
view the Akosumbo Dam, which is an extraordinary earthen dam in Ghana. And the Volta Lake is, I think, the third largest man-made lake in the world. And
Mhm.
the next morning, we went sailing on the lake for 2 hours. And then we got to a little island that was an animal preserve, and we had a wonderful time there with the kids and the drumming and the music and them riding on horses and camels. And we just had a good time listening to music and dancing. And they had a live band for the entire 2 hour going and 2 hour back on the ship. So people
Mm.
would dance, and you could eat all you could eat, going and coming. They had a kitchen in the back, a bar in the corner. They had a grill on the front. The folks of the ship, and people, Ghanaians from all over the world who had come home to visit for the summer, who brought their children for the first time. Ghanaians
Mm.
who lived there. Those of us from the United States, we were all just dancing and mingling and eating together, having this
Mm.
extraordinary time. This extraordinary Africans being Africans in Africa. You understand
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
Africans being Africans in Africa
In
and
Africa.
enjoying themselves
Oh.
and having just a wonderful time. And we spent the night just resting and being quiet. And the next morning, we came back to Accra, and people wanted to shop and buy artifacts for their families, so things like drums and stools and carvings and paintings, and prepare to have them shipped home. And then in our sadness and our crying, and we prayed, I let all of the different prayer or religious grouping on the bus to say their own prayer for safety in the morning, because we were on the road nearly every day, an hour or two every day. And that could be
Mm.
very dangerous, just the amount of time we were putting in. But it was just an
Mm.
extraordinarily wonderful time. Um, I wanted to lecture every night, so I took different tapes with me, but that was difficult to do because people were so tired in the evening. So what I did on the bus ride, I gave a lecture every day, either me or Pius, who was our tour guide, who was an extraordinary historian. So our people got a lecture to every day, unless they were just too tired and went to sleep, and we gave them a break for 30 minutes or so. But it was a
Mm.
wonderful pilgrimage. People loved it. The idea was the theme of it: when you come home, you bring the ancestors from the diaspora back home. So
Mm.
your coming home wasn't just your going on a pilgrim. Your coming was to return their souls back to their motherland, bring
Mm.
them back home. Those who was on the slave ship, they live
Mm.
within you. Let's take them back home. Let them be free. And that's what we were doing. We had a good time. And these were some of the most, I've been doing this for 40 years, but this was the most beautiful spiritual group of Africans I have ever traveled with on one of these pilgrimages. And we called it, from its inception 40 years ago, the African Pilgrimage Project. Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Dr. John Henry Clark, myself, Brother X, we initiated this, Brother Reggie, um, back in those days. And so it was just beautiful. It was an opportunity to go home in a kind of a way that after COVID, people wanted to go back to Africa to touch the soil, and to now know that we can take our ancestors back home. We can take their spirits back in our body and set them free back in their home that they were taken from and thought they would never see again. That process itself, to be understood as taking place, was very important for people. So in February, we're going to go to Tanzania, we're going to go to Rwanda, Uganda, and Kenya.
Cameroon.
I'm coming to Cameroon next. Cameroon's going to be the end of the spring. I cannot come into next summer without being in Cameroon with Susan Tata and her family. I want to meet your mother, your sisters, your cousins. I want to see
Yes,
every.
and I mean and I'm building a diaspora center here. I mean, I'm setting it up and we're gonna
Okay.
launch it anytime
And
soon.
we will
Yes.
do everything we can to support that building project. You let us know what needs to be done,
Hmm.
fundraisings or just getting pilgrims to come to enhance the financial foundation of it, because you can't do this. People need to understand you can't build these things without funds, without financing. Like the beautiful museum I told you that's in Esukado in the western region of Ghana was built by a brother named Ka Ansa. He owns
Hmm.
the African TV station, the Pan African TV station in Ghana. And he built this museum with his own money. It is the most extraordinary museum you will ever go in, because the way he presents our history, the way the history gets presented from ancient Kemet, even pre Kemet, right up to the exhibit on the Ku Klux Klan lynching black people in America. And he just walks you through hundreds, thousands of years of history.
Hmm.
And the men and women, mostly women, who were the tour guides, they were so historically brilliant in how they told the story that everyone that go to Ghana must go to the museum in Esukado in the western region. Otherwise, you would not have made a trip. You know, the artifacts, the statues, the buildings, the paintings, it's just wonderfully, it makes you so proud of your ancestors. It makes you feel your history and the
Absolutely.
significance of being an African. I am an African. If I was the creator and I had to create myself and I had the options for all groups in the world, I would create me African. Okay. So Ghana was wonderful. The pilgrimage was wonderful. The people, both on the pilgrimage and those receiving us in Ghana throughout the communities, were wonderful. You know, even the young merchants who was bartering their goods, many of whom I knew when they were little boys, now they're grown men with families working, selling their wares. They were wonderful.
Hmm.
They were wonderful.
Hmm.
So, and
Wonderful.
we do that every summer. That particular tour every summer, the last week in July and the first week in August. That's dedicated exclusively to Ghana every summer.
Wonderful.
But Cameroon will come this spring, at the end of the spring, and East Africa will come in the winter. So, yeah.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Baba.
Well,
Congratulations to you.
congratulate all the pilgrims who went to take their ancestor spirits back home. So now they're
Yes.
truly free. They're truly free.
Mm. You know, it's just like when we look at the biblical story of Jonah in the river Nineveh, where he went and swallowed, you know,
Hmm.
and then went out and pushed it out. I mean, that's the kind of picture when you're talking about like we're taking the spirit of our ancestors, that we carry all their genealogy and all their stories, and even the artifacts that we're talking about, we carry it spiritually within us. And when we come to the continent, we just pour them out and we can breathe again. Honestly, I'm experiencing it right here in Cameroon as where we are. And
Hmm.
I've been going around, trying to, and you can really see that the diaspora needs to come home. We need to
Yeah.
bring
Well,
those spirits back, because when we bring those spirits back, then we would be complete in our unity. I
yes.
mean, we're still going
We,
to go to we're still going to move up to the topic of what is going on the continent now. And we see that the continent has already risen. And now they have started to show us in the diaspora that everything that we were talking about is our time and we mean it. And
mm,
because we are sitting right here on the continent, and you can see me. I mean, I look a little bit different now, drained out, because we have to do the
you
work.
look
We
African, girl.
Yes, I look an African girl. We promised ourselves that no matter what happens, we would have to come back home. We would have to take the journey home. And now
Yeah.
we already saw what is happening in Burkina Faso. How I'll give you the time, because part of this program, like you said in the beginning, it's a disgrace if we will not talk about the current situation on the continent and how we are winning and how the world is actually looking desperate for solutions, African solutions, and how the leadership is actually taking that responsibility. So the Diaspora Center in Cameroon, I'll talk about that, but I want us to first of all dive into the topic of today, the current update. You were on the continent. You've told us about this beautiful pilgrimage. That's what we'll be doing. All the seasons of our life is just taking small after small pieces and bringing back. That's why I say I'm looking for a place where we can begin to come, even just to hold our conferences and gather and begin to teach why we need to come back home. It's very essential. So, Prof, when
Yes,
you look at
ma'am.
the situation today, what is happening on the continent? What do you think it is? Isn't it the time? Isn't it the work of our ancestors? Do you think it's a man made thing? Isn't it really the spirit of the awakening of each and every one of us that is saying is now or never?
I think the young people have had enough. Every day in the last 10 years, we wake up to see pictures on the television about people being treated like dogs and animals in jails in Libya, in Morocco, Algeria, because they're looking for jobs in Europe.
Hmm.
We see the sinking of ships with the dead African bodies floating in the Mediterranean on a weekly basis. We see those who make it into Europe homeless and being treated like criminals and being put into the prisons over there.
Hmm.
Enough is enough. So many have even come through Central South America to cross the southern borders in America and to be separated out because of their skin colors and treated differently from ones who have lighter skins, and no one's talking about it. We've had enough. And I think what we see I saw it when the government, the young men in the military took control of Guinea. I saw it when the young men took control of Mali. I saw it when Burkina Faso began to get rid of the murderers of Thomas Sankara and then to try them and put them in jail for the crimes they committed against Sankara. And so now to see Burkina Faso saying, no, enough is enough, France. You've stolen enough from us. To hear Guinea say you've stolen enough. We want our natural resources to be processed in our country. We want to create industry for our people. We're not going to pay you for having enslaved us and colonized us. See, people don't understand the process. France, when it said it was moving out of colonialism, decided to come up with 11 points, and I don't remember the 11 points, but to tell the African nations they were colonizing, you have to pay me for that building that I built. You have to pay me for the railroad I built. You have to pay me for the freeway that I built. You have to pay me for the hospital that I built. You built those things for yourself to enhance your enslaving and colonizing and robbing me. Yet you put a gun to my head and made me sign some treaty. And then for those of us who didn't, France is responsible for killing more African leaders than any other colonial imperialist country in the world. I think the number is 16 of our heads of state was murdered by France over these 40-something years or 50-something years. And so we've got to be clear about what's going on. And Senegal, if you allow France to amass troops and equipment in your country to move against Niger or Mali or Burkina Faso, or even against the people of Guinea, then you will see all of Africa rise up against you. And those in the ECOWAS community, instead of knee-jerking reaction from your Western handlers, you need to sit back and think and sit down with these young men and women in the military and ask, how can we best help you to break the hold of French colonialism in your country, not condemn them and threaten them with invasion. Because if you do that, I will myself try to raise an army on this side to fight the armies with the armies on that side against you. And there were many others that feel like I do. People have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. France have denied that. Britain have denied that. America have denied that to the people of Africa. And the young men and women who are wearing these military uniforms, many of whom the Americans trained. You can train my body, but you can't train my mind to stop being African. And I think that's the message we're seeing. Yes, we must be careful. Military governments can be very restrictive, but nothing can be worse than the poverty that is being overseen by the so-called civilian democratic government. When the wealth of Africa, the African child is sitting and said, wait a minute, I've got manganese, I got cobalt, I've got gold, I've got diamond, I've got bauxite, I've got cobalt, I've got coltan, and I'm impoverished. And the man in Europe have none of these things. And he's living a beautiful, lavish, technocratically devised society that can afford food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security for him and his people. And me, who have all the wealth, I'm begging. Something is wrong with the mathematic equation that explains that. And I think the young people of Africa have figured out what's wrong. That criminals have been in charge of our lives for too long. The people of the continent, especially the youth, who makes up the majority of that continent, is saying no more. Like the Israelis, never again will we allow genocide to become a daily portion called poverty, to be reaped on us while we're up to our knee in wealth. Yet someone else picked the wealth, puts it on a barge, put it on an airplane, fly it out, and send crumbs back to me and says, I'm giving you aid. You take $20 billion from me, send $2 million of crumbs back to me and say, you're aiding me? You're not aiding me, you're a criminal. Let's call the criminals what they are. You want to have an equitable arrangement with me? Then come and sit down at a table without a gun or a missile to my head, and let's work out an agreement where you can eat and my people can eat. You have technology that we need. We have raw materials that you need. You have experiences in building bridges and railroads and other things that we need. We have the raw material that will keep you eating in Europe. Because without the raw materials of Africa, France would become a fourth world country in a month. In a month, because it has no wealth that is not stealing from Africa. And that's not just France. America, Britain would all collapse if they were not robbing Africa. We have not even discussed the wealth that's flown out of Congo on a daily basis, while millions of our youth are working and dying in mines and going home poor and impoverished at the end of the day. While the planes are flying off of the runways out of Congo, where the trucks have come on the fancy freeways they built from the mines to the airport, but they forgot to build the schools and the hospitals and the other things that the society needs for themselves. So I think it's over. And I think the young men in the military, in the former Francophone states, is showing us the way. That is freedom or death. Either you give us our freedom with our wealth. We don't want what South Africa had. South Africa got freedom without wealth. You cannot have freedom without your wealth. Your wealth undergirds your freedom. You can't say, oh, the enemy can keep all the farmland and I'll run the impoverished urban ghettos that you call cities. No, we need farmland. Oh, the enemy cannot keep all the mines, and I will run your impoverished urban ghettos. No. We want the wealth of Africa to be returned to the youth of Africa so that they can build the future that they want to see. If Europe want a partnership with us, loaning and exchanging their technology, we will be glad to exchange our raw materials so that you can run your nuclear energy plant, so that you can run your industry which needs our diamond. See, most people think diamonds are used just for rings and brooches. No, most diamonds is used in industry because it's such a hard mineral. So I'm happy to see what's occurring. What I'm afraid for is that our people would not understand, because the West says, oh, that's a military this. Don't America have a military base in Niger? Don't France have a military base in Niger? Don't Britain or Italy have a military base in Niger? Don't America have a military base in Ghana, Dubai, this one? How you can bring all of your military and dump it all over Africa? You have at least 20 drone bases in Africa that you're sending over the world to kill other people, especially our people in Somalia. You had war with Somalia, killing thousands of our people on a weekly basis. No one even carries it in the Western news. Why are you in Somalia killing our people? You were behind the war in Ethiopia to try and overthrow the legitimate government, but you failed. Thank God. So our young people are saying enough is enough. Africa for the Africans, at home and abroad, as Garvey says. The young people want to build an Africa for themselves. They don't want to have to come up in Africa and the only dream they can have is escaping Africa to go to Europe or to go to America. That's the dream of the African. That's the future. No, the dream of the African child should be how wonderfully it is to enjoy the Africa that they live in. The dream of the African child should be that there's no limits on my dream in the Africa that I live in. The dream of the African child is that I can build whatever I need in the Africa that I live in. And I think these young men and women that makes up the military in the former French colonies are telling us loud and clear, either you will give us an opportunity or we will take it, and they've taken that opportunity. And the African world have to be prepared to rise up in their defense wherever we find ourselves, in Central America, South America, Europe, or America. We must be prepared to rise up in support of any African state that is find themselves under attack by any Western nation. And if we're not, we don't deserve freedom. We don't deserve justice if we're not prepared to die this time, to rise up this time. If anyone dare touches Burkina Faso, dare touches Guinea, dare touch Niger, dare touch Mali, we will rise up, the millions of us, in support of you in this land, because I will be one of the ones leading it. And if I'm not, there are millions of others who are quite willing to do it. And we should do this anywhere we are, on or off the continent. There's no place to turn back to. Do not turn back to poverty. Do not turn back to being ill and you go to a hospital and you can't pay for basic care for child illness for your children in your country. And you're the wealthiest country in the world, but you do not have a hospital that can treat the common cold. We have to change all of these things now. And I see it changing. I hear it in the young people's conversation. I see it on social media. I didn't just go on all the programs like these after work club and danced to a little music, and sisters had on their little stiletto heels and took off the sneakers, you know what I'm saying? They put on the nice 38, they were looking nice. We went to a couple of other clubs. The music was a little too loud for an old man. I couldn't stay there that long. But we were like the young people just enjoying the nightlife of Ghana, having worked hard all day long. having a cold beer or a glass of wine, talking to your friend about your future in your land, in your home, on your terms, in your cultural mixes. That's freedom. Remember what we said a few months back? Freedom is to be shackled to your identity. Freedom to be shackled to your identity. That identity is African in all of its variations. People say, oh, y'all got too many tribes. Oh, you got too many cultures. No, we could probably use a few more tribes and a little more expansion on our fantastically beautiful cultures. We have a diversity and a variety like nobody on earth. Let's celebrate it and enjoy it. Because it's all based on truth, justice, righteousness, harmony, and reciprocity. That's Africa. You know, they made a movie and it was called Blood Diamonds. So ridiculous. They said, if you sell your diamonds, we're going to call you a criminal. But if I sell your diamonds, that's all right. And so they made a movie about Africans trying to sell their own diamonds, being treated like criminals. And they coined a term called TIA. This is Africa. Well, I'm going to take your term. The beauty that I just saw, that is Africa. The rising up of the young men in Niger and Mali and Burkina Faso, that is Africa. That is the Africa we want to see. TIA. This is Africa. So here it is. It's either Europe can come to the table and say, I'm going to be a legitimate partner in the human discourse of creating an economic equitability that serves everyone, or I don't deserve to be at the table. It is simple as that. We saw Mr. Trump, whatever you want to say about him, when he became president of the United States. The first thing he did was to break the NAFTA treaty. He said, I don't care who wrote this treaty, I'm breaking the treaty with NAFTA, with Mexico and Canada. And he did it. He said, now you will come and negotiate a treaty that is favorable to America. He broke the treaty with Asia and said, now we will rewrite the treaties. So why can't we break the treaties with France? Break the treaties with England? Break the treaties with America? They were all forcing us under duress with a gun at our head, or with a collaborator in the seat representing our people, collaborating on the behalf of the enemy of the people. So we need to renegotiate all contracts. All contracts should be brought back to the table and renegotiated so that there's an advantage to the people who control the wealth of the world, and that's the African people of the continent of Africa. And that is that. Freedom or death. To the enemy, you don't want to leave Niger, you don't want to leave Mali, ou peut-être, like they said in Haiti, Bulika. We will take your head and we burn the houses that you're in. So get on the plane and go home and leave us alone. If you want to work with us to build a better Africa, we're humane enough to do that. But if you want to stay here to continue the oppression of our people, go home. Leave us alone. It's that simple.
How much we miss you, Baba. How much we miss you, Professor. That's why we just quiet. I mean, we just quiet. We're just listening because this motivation is what we've been
Well,
waiting
I
for.
want to hear you today, Susan, because you've been back home for a while now and you've been feeling and seeing and speaking and doing things. So you're right there on the front line of all of this that's happening right now.
It has to. It has to happen. It has to. I mean, these are things that we've been promising ourselves, and it's time. Like we see the uprising, and if you look at the young military guys, look at Burkina Faso. It's just 34 years. None of them is even up to 40, and if they just, and most of them were not speaking. But what I know, and what even all our speakers were saying, the Pan African Daily, once we were quiet, everything was just like nothing was happening. because the teachings that that you all are mentors, as scholars, as researchers, as professionals came here, all the leaders were listening. Most of the time we didn't know. Most of
We
the
didn't
time
know.
we thought that everything that we were just saying was going like as if we were wasting our time. But now we see exactly the importance why we must keep our platforms, why we must continue to give a balance, to give, a status quo, like getting a perspective. A lot of people just saying things and getting news and stuffs and comments from different sources. And until we start getting fired up like Pan African Daily, what is happening? This is the source where we can sit quiet, drink water, mind our African business, and just talk about our own challenges. And another thing is coming up that you just said here, Prof. And we want to get this very clear. We said this: we are not paying a dime. All the so-called debts and whatever that is being owed to Africa,
We
they
need
even
to
have to
wipe.
pay
We
more.
need to wipe all the debts out. We're denying it. We're not paying any of it. We're not paying any more debt until you pay us the trillions upon trillions you owe us in reparations and for the genocide of slavery and colonialism. And you're not even discussing that. That's not on the table. And so we've got to be very clear. This is not a
Sure.
game that's being done. So this is about trying to build you used to say it so nicely, build the Africa we want to see. That
Yes.
means build the Africa that can employ its people. Build the
Mm-hmm.
Africa that can build hospitals in every community.
Mm.
Build the Africa that can put a clinic in every village. Build
Mm.
the Africa where there isn't a single African child that doesn't go to school every day.
Mm-hmm.
Build the Africa where we don't have to call somebody else to come in and build us a railroad line. We have the technology, we have the minds, build our own damn railroad lines.
Mm.
Create our own concept of what it should look like.
Mm.
We don't have to have somebody else come to set up a school to train our airline pilots. Ethiopia is one of the best teaching school and airline pilots in the world.
Mm.
Let Ethiopia train all of the African pilots.
Mm-hmm.
And let's get rid of all these bunch of little, what do you call it, airlines, Kenya Airways, just one African airline that's supported
Mm-hmm.
by the 54 or the 48 nations, however it has to be. If the Arabs in the north don't want to get off the board, cut them loose, leave them out there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
one African airline. Get rid of the
Absolutely.
visas. No borders in Africa anymore. If you live
Mm-hmm.
on this continent, you cross any border with nothing but a basic ID for the sake of security. Let's build the Africa we want to leave for our children. And that has to involve the economics, the politics, and the culture that ensures that we have the resources necessary for food, for clothing, for shelter, for safety and security,
Mm.
and the necessities to advance the technocracy that will build the industry that will continue to employ our people. That's what we're really talking about. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to, how are you going to be the wealthiest people in the world and you're a beggar at the foot of the poorest people in the world?
Mm.
Because you bought into their fantasy, you turn your back on your ancestry. Well, now look back. Look back to your ancestors because guess what? You are your ancestors. You are your ancestors. When your parents gave birth to you, they gave birth to themselves. When your parents gave birth to you, they gave birth to themselves. That's African culture.
Absolutely.
Okay? We are the ancestors we talk to. Every cell, every memory in our ancestors' body was passed on to us at birth. And so when we look back to them, practice the culture, sing the songs, read the poetry, dance the dance, We wake up the memory of the ancestors in us that will tell us
Ashe.
how to be who we have to be and do what we have to do for the
Mm.
future. Because I am my ancestors, my children is me tomorrow. I am, or my mother and father was me yesterday, as I am me now. They were me yesterday, and
Mm.
my children and grandchildren is me tomorrow. But I will always exist. But if I'm unaware of my existence, then anyone can name me, train me, call me what they want. I want no other culture but that of Africa. And the culture isn't just our dress, our hair. I don't lost all my hair. So I can't even talk about the hair. But the culture is the idea of our humanity.
Oh my
The
God. Say it
idea of
again,
our
Prof.
humanity.
That's just
That's
it.
culture. Everything else is to express the idea of our humanity and our understanding of cosmology and ecology and our
Mm.
relationship in it. That's African culture. We're caught up in these silly little religious treaties that some backwards ignorance people put together from fragments from the periphery of the African cultural system,
Mm.
and then have that little kindergarten information rule our psyche. We're bigger than that. We're Africans. When the universe decided to be a human being, it decided to be an African woman, and she
Oh
gave
yes.
birth to everything else. That's the truth. That's the science. Refute it and dispute it because you can't. No one can.
Oh, we miss you so much, Baba. I mean, the audience is asking that we open some lines, and they just want to cheer you, tap you, and even as we also find we had some comments here requesting your cash app, Baba, and I think yes, it's very okay. I think your cash app is Professor James Small. What is your
No,
cash app,
no,
Baba?
no. Today, Susan Tata, I want all cast to go to Pan African Daily TV. If it was another show, I would put my Cash App there. But because you have been struggling, people don't realize the struggle you've gone through in the last year. And to make the shift to Cameroon and to set up the broadcast from Cameroon and to get the Pan African Daily TV back on track and to try and build that diaspora center, you need all of the support and cash you can get right now. We know the weight you've been carrying. You cannot fight the enemy without the enemy fighting back, my people. Look at Susan's face. Look at the lines in her face. Look at the pressure that has been put on this child. Look at the pressure that this woman have carried on your behalf. Any gifts that you want to give, please give that gift to Pan African Daily TV so that she can build that foundation in Cameroon that she's been trying, so that the lines of stress, yes, that I see in your face can be reduced, so that the energy, I know you, you're my sister, I love your special energy. I know the enemy, I know what they will do and try to do, but I praise you for your courage. I praise you for your courage to steadfast. I know Baina Bello, Dr. Bello is here, and soon we'll be celebrating our great Empress, Dessalines. And he said to us, freedom or death. And you demonstrated that. You demonstrated it. So we love you. Give any, from the bottom of your heart, all of the things you want to share. Please share that resources with Pan African Daily TV because they need it. And they need it right now.
Thank you very much, Prof. Yes, we need it. We need it. Like I said, we're trying to set up a diaspora center. It's not everything that they've stripped of everything. Absolutely. This just we're just here for the meantime and just to keep our conversations going. They've pulled down a lot of your conversations that we used to have. They've disconnected us from every access to even receive your money direct on YouTube. So don't send us any YouTube anything. We'll not get it. Everything has been blocked. And so yes, we have just us. I will get an MTN support number where if you send cash directly to us, it's just like Cash App, we're going to get it in Cameroon. We're still trying to set that up. The center that we're looking at is really going to be a center of information and education from the diaspora, where we can set these creams up and get the young people every day to fill that center, and you lecture to them and we teach them. Because the education sector that we're talking about on the continent, just imagine just the little bit that we've been doing here, how much people are awakened. Not only the youth, the leaders, the elders. For the short time, 3, 4 months that we've not been on Pan African Daily, people have been sick. This information going on, in Niger, Burkina Faso, people are reaching out to us like, Pan African Daily, what is going on? And so we don't need too much. We will build our own center, but for now, we have to use what we have on the ground.
Just
We have to use
remember,
the existing structures that we have. And we can begin to commercialize everything. It's not just only giving, but we're going to, the most important thing is the liberation. And it's now. And the young people are hungry for it. And they are fast that you don't ever want to believe. Prof, you were saying it's the same thing here. If I'm burnout, is because I cannot even imagine how fast young people are making it on the continent on their own. It's not even about, they don't even give a damn about leadership. Like you see Burkina Faso and the others, every young African child is waking up and they are saying it's our own. So the number of those relocated to the diaspora is becoming so small every day. Even when they're going to countries like China, Dubai to go and buy and sell back. But we say, no, we can create our own brands. So the African child believes in you, the diaspora. They believe in us in everything. I've cut down about 10 kilos that I'm in Cameroon here because the number of people I'm engaging and talking, whether it's on the street, whether it's everywhere, they are hungry for that knowledge. Like if we just open that center, you would not believe how much liberation we would do. It's going to be more than even us putting on the military and going out like what we see in Burkina Faso, Mali. The work is here on the continent. People, it's enough. It's
and,
enough.
and Susan, Pan African Daily TV, let me tell you, every stop that the bus, we had a big bus, carried 50 people on the pilgrimage in Ghana. Everywhere I stopped, I couldn't get off of the bus because everybody wanted to take pictures with the man from Pan African Daily TV. They knew me in Ghana everywhere I went. I felt like a celebrity. Sometimes I was kind of embarrassed, I go, and brothers, oh, please, Prof, can I take a picture? I saw you on Miss Susan. I saw you talk about, because Pan African Daily TV has had an enormous impact. You have reached an enormous number of our people. And I saw it. I wanted to some days, like, scared to get off the bus or run. You walk across the hotel lobby and somebody goes like, that's him. That's him. Hey, brother, come here. I know you. I know you from Pan African TV. And I go like, yeah, that's me. Sometimes I have a joke, say, no, wrong. They say, oh, no, that's you. So the impact, if just on one, I'm only one of the trying to be scholars. If I've got that much impact that everywhere I went in Ghana, same thing in the Caribbean and here. There were people on the trip from Trinidad because they saw me on Pan African Daily TV and they came to us to Ghana. They came with us to Ghana because they saw this message. And so to our people, we've got to use this tool, the social media tool, to free our people. The liberation movement of the 60s was a big step. But now you young people got to take it to the next step. I'm a 78-year-old guy, but I still go to martial arts class and go to the gym because I'm trying to stay in shape for you as long as I can. But you have to grab the scepter out of my hand and you have to take it further. We want Africa for the Africans at home and abroad, as Garvey said, to be a reality, not just a cliche, not just a phrase, but a reality. And you have to make it that reality. And the young people in Chad keep fighting. The young people in Burkina Faso keep fighting and standing up. The young people in Niger, in Mali, in Ghana, in Burkina, in Tanzania, in Kenya, in Somalia. And don't get confused, people. Let me say this one. This is important. They've confused us who think we are Christians to let them slaughter our brothers and sisters who they've made you think is Muslim. No, 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 no. You have to love that man in Somalia as much as you love that man in Nigeria who might be Christian.
Absolutely.
You have to just as much. They play this game. I was a Muslim imam. I'm a Haji. I'm al Hajj Amin Shahid. I've been to Mecca. I stood before the Rabat Talim al Islamin. I carry their credentials. But guess what? I'm an African first. Because God made me Africa. The Creator made me Africa.
Yes.
Somebody else made me Muslim. Okay? Somebody else made me Christian. The Creator made me African. That's what I am first. Everything else simply are methodologies and how I do what I do. You understand me? Africa first. One Africa. One Africa. I love you whether you're Yoruba, Igbo, Kikuyu, Congo, Anglo, Christian, Muslim. If you're African, that is my excuse for loving you.
Your excuse. I love it. That was the speech the mother of Burna Boy when he won the award went up and
Really?
said just that. He said,
Let me send a message to Burna Boy. Burna Boy reached out to me 2 years ago. He heard one of my speeches on the resistance of Africans after the Berlin Conference, and he made this beautiful record. It's a beautiful piece. They sent it to me. I love the music. It's me and Burna Boy singing over my speech. Somehow it
okay.
didn't come out. Somebody pulled it from the last album. Burna, put that out for the people to hear. Let them hear me say, when the British sent Gordon to Sudan to destroy Muhammad Ahmed and the people, and they sent 30,000 troops, and Muhammad Ahmed sent his head and 20,000 dead back to Cairo. Let them hear me say, when they came for Babata, when they came from the chiefs of Babata, they had Islam Bata. When Babata left 2,000 dead in one day and caused the fall of the Robespierre government in Europe as a result. Let them tell the story of our resistance to the Berlin Conference. Don't make it look like they just ran over us. They never did that. Tell the story of Tippy II. Tell the story of Abdallah, who follows the lead of the Sudan after Ahmed. Tell the story of Menelik. Tell about our great victories after the Berlin Conference. If it wasn't for the fact that they had the gun technology and they came up with that Gatling and machine gun, we would have never lost the battle. This had nothing, we didn't betray ourselves. We went up against military technology coming from people that had no value on human life. But we still have won. Look at us. Do we look like we've been defeated? Do I sound like I've been defeated?
No way.
Does Susan look like she's been defeated? No.
No way.
We
No
simply are
way.
going through the process of mopping up now and negotiating the terms of disengagement. And this time the terms will be in the favor of the African people because we have the wealth of the world. And you can come up with any technology you got, any germ warfare you got. We proved to you when COVID came to Africa and the whole world laughed and so Africa's going to die, we were the only one that really lived. So be careful. My juju is good juju. I got African juju.
Me, my juju is good juju. Yes, people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, for those of you that are just joining us, we are here on the Pan African Daily with Professor James Small, and we're actually empowering each other. We miss us so much. I heard a brother dropped a comment and say the Tobacco Trinidad Emancipation Day was top. I watched it from top to finish. the Ghanaians were guests. You know, you could saw the Ashanti kings, the royals, the queen mothers. I mean, this, this is why we say it's the time. I'm still going to look at, and I saw the brother. If you can send me that tape, I had some of them. I just recorded because we're going to be reviewing all this, what is happening around our communities in the world. If you saw the Emancipation Day, I've never seen it happen in history like the way it turned out this year. So every little single thing is just pushing up to our unity. It's justifying, it's confirming every little thing that we do. It doesn't matter whether we're going to run dry or drain ourselves. That's the purpose why we're here in the mission. And it's a very good one. I'm not regretting for every single second what we're doing. Never have I complained. Okay. What I'm only saying is we are getting closer. And the more we get closer, the more we man up, the more we woman up, the more we rise in at every angle, like the youths on the continent. But Small, you were in Ghana, in Accra. You did you see anything happening as if these children? I'm telling you, the speed at which the African youth.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness!
It was just overwhelmingly beautiful to watch the Oduwa dance being done by the multiple women and men at a Senmensu, to watch the parade of umbrellas with the traditional leaders in the tapestry of cloth that was just to watch the dignity and the state protocol based on our culture going on between the head of state and the kings of the nation. Because a lot of people think that our traditional structure is dead. It's not dead, my people. The kings and the queen mothers that run the local community have a collaborative legal arrangement with the national governments on how the community should be run. The national government cannot intrude but so far into the indigenous community. The people have declared who their king is. I've sat in many courts, in the indigenous courts. Kings have allowed me to sit and watch them carry out disputes and solve the problems of the people equitably. The state don't even step into that. The only time the state may come forward if there's a felony or a terrible crime that requires the technology and the kinds of things that come with modern crime fighting in that sense. But on a daily basis, 90% of the disputes of the states is handled by the indigenous leadership. Okay. And then when it comes to the religion, I love something that my friend, and he was truly my friend, Jerry John Rawlings, former president of Ghana, an ancestor now, he used to call me at home early in the morning. You know, here in America, you know what it felt like to have the president of an African nation wake you up in the morning? And Jerry would go, "Hello, sir. Good morning." And I go, "Who is this? Who the hell do you think it is? It's the president." It used to be funny. And he would say, "Salam alaikum," because his uncle who helped to raise him was a Muslim, right? So Jerry leaned very close to the Muslim protocols. But he said in one of his speeches, and people need to study Jerry Rawlings, you're missing the man who tried to restore what Nkrumah had put in place when others had let it fall apart. He said, "You can Christianize me, but don't try to Europeanize me." And listen to that term. We know Christianity had its birth in Africa. We know all of the tenets of Christianity comes out of Africa. We know that Ethiopia and the Sudan have churches that's older than the Vatican itself before Catholicism was even started, and definitely 1,500 years before Martin Luther had his Reformation to create the Protestant churches, which we all now go to. So we can go in history and show that, yes, this thing had its birth with us, but somebody else spun it in his culture and reissued it to us. And so that's what Jerry was saying. You can Christianize me, but don't try to Europeanize me. And we have to know how to tell the difference between the two. You can Islamize me, but don't try to Arabize me. We have to tell the difference between the two. One is a set of principle and guidelines to live your life by. The other is a culture of tyranny that have been enslaving us ever since we met them.
Mm-hmm.
Never forget. History erases the mystery. Know your history. history erases the mystery and allow you to work your Black African magic. And don't be afraid to say Black magic, African magic. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Or our juju, or our voodoo,
Our
or
big juju.
black witch.
Hey,
Yes, those are
Black
things that have
magic is
been
big juju.
demonized here. When you talk about witchcraft, people see all the things. Our juju, our voodoo, our whatever. That's it.
It's
Black
like the
magic.
name voodoo. I remember looking that name voodoo up. The white man has made us so disdain that word because Haiti used it to whip the pants off of France, Britain, Spain, and even America, who were their financial supporters. And so they're afraid of the word. But the genesis of the word comes from the Fon people of Benin and the Ewe people of Togo, Ghana. And the
Mhm.
word means the essence of God in you. Voodoo Godzi, the essence of God in the human. Voodoo Daha, the essence of God in nature.
Okay.
The essence of God. And what is God to the African? Every and all things at once. The airway says, Mawu Sogbelisa. Mawu Sogbelisa. The totality of creation is divinity. That's the African way. That's how we see it, you know. So when we do our
Whew.
thing, we dance the universe. We dance nature.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. I mean, it's I don't know, I don't know. You see, I'm a little bit, even though I mean, Yaoundé, the temperatures, Yaoundé is that kind of city. It's a kind of a city with 8 seasons. I told you already the other day. While the whole world has 4 seasons, and we're even celebrating Yaoundé, a small city, the capital city of Cameroon, has 8 seasons. All right, and it's also known as the city of 8 hills, right? So, um, it is not impossible what we're experiencing right now. I saw my sister Cheryl said, all what we can say is this is the time of God in totality, what we are seeing, the salvation brought by the Africans for Africans is right now. And we see it. We see it. When I saw the pictures, the young people that came with you from to you to visit you from this African
Mm-hmm.
Continental Political Party,
Mm-hmm.
most of the
Oh,
images
you
that
saw
are
my meeting with ACUP. They tried everything to not let that meeting happen. They wiped up my telephone. They hacked my telephone. They did it, but we still had the meeting, and we had a good time. And we even drank a little apatashi afterwards, some kill me quick, to make sure we sealed the deal. And for those who don't know what apatashi is, it's the sugarcane juice that the indigenous African community makes. That's the good libation. It beats the rum. So, but it was a wonderful meeting with the young people. I read their documents. They have put a lot of work into organizing. They're trying to organize in multiple African nations a party that has a common perspective on being a Pan African force in every nation on that continent. And that this Pan African party will represent the entire continent and the youth of the continent. And so they're not the only group of youth that I met with who are moving in this direction. So thank God and I see Sister Deborah Olusola, who was with us on the journey.
from Cincinnati, yes.
Yes, she and Brother Asa from Cincinnati, Ohio. We had a wonderful time, Deborah could tell you. But what our people around the world should do, write to your governments, write to radio stations, television stations, call in and tell them we support the young people of Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Guinea. Let's let the world know. Let's call every talk show, every radio show, every TV, anywhere you can get it out. On the internet, on your Facebook, on your YouTube, on your
On the
Instagram.
hashtag, yes.
Tell the world we support the young people of Guinea-Bissau. We support the young people of Guinea. We support the young people of Burkina Faso. We support the young people of Mali. We support the young people of Niger. Let the world know. Don't let them think that they can do some dirt and we're going to sit quietly by. Let them know we will not sit quietly by this time. No way, Jose. We will
Wonderful. No way, Jose.
down if we
Professor
have.
James, Professor James, we're about to open the lines and take some. I mean, the heat is really
Yes.
on. I mean, your viewers, your audience, your family has missed you a lot, and they just want to share, with you. They want to celebrate you. They want to thank you. They want to motivate you because that's who we are. We live by each other. That's the philosophy of Ubuntu. We live by each other. You are nothing without me. It's the same principle of Logobi.
Look for
Know
me.
me, know you, don't know me. So we're going to open the lines now. But I want to remind all of you that are here, Sister Deborah, make sure you click and subscribe to Pan African Daily because I will be also hosting you to share your experiences on the trip to Ghana. All the participants, and most of them, Professor James is going to be giving me the list of all of you that went on this pilgrimage. I'll be reaching out to you. I'll be bringing you on the show one after the other with Professor to share your experiences, to encourage and motivate each other. Prof can say what happened, but if you tell us how you felt, everything, every step. I also saw Brother Sean who wrote here and said, oh my God, they enjoyed every piece and beat of this trip. They were there. She said, me and my wife, wait, I have to bring it. Brother Sean Fleet is here. He said, me and my wife had the honor and privilege of going on this pilgrimage to Ghana with one of the last warrior scholars. That's Baba Small. So, yes, we would like to share your experiences. We would like to have all the list of the participants and even our young people who were out there in Ghana to tell us what they learned through this pilgrimage and how they experienced Ghana if it was their first time. And we are saying Ghana because Ghana is Africa. Okay, so I want to open the lines and you get ready. Reparations, get ready. All of you that have been asking me to open the lines, please get ready. Get ready. We'll be opening up the lines to take a few feedback and reflections and also questions on what is going on. I see a lot of people asking what is actually the standpoint on ECOWAS. We are saying no. No, the Africans, young people, we share the comments, we open up everything, and we were asking, and every young African is saying no to ECOWAS. No to ECOWAS. The hashtag is going around everywhere, and all of them are saying no. We stand behind our warriors, the upcoming, the resistance and the movement of the resilience in Burkina Faso, in Mali, in Guinea, in Niger, in Sudan. We are all behind them. And so, yes, I want to get the first caller. Hello? And please don't forget to subscribe. Just don't forget to subscribe if it's your first time here. We need to get our subscribers list on the run again. We are close to hitting 100,000 subscribers, and you can imagine everything was just going on its own. The speeches and the teachings of Professor James Small and all the videos that we did in the past, we're just running and running and running and running and generating more subscribers without even us coming live. So imagine today we are live. We want to see you like, share, and hit the subscribers button and invite each and every member to be here with us. Yes, we are having your attention. Who are you? Where are you calling from? What's your feedback?
Yes, this is Reparations, Dr. Tata. So good to see you again, Dr. Smalls. An honor to be here with you as well. And I stand 100% for the revolution that's happening in Africa. All the young people, the Burkina Faso, the Guinea, the Niger, they fill me with pride and inspiration every day. And reparations need to be passed. Our ancestors have brought us this far. All we have to do is get the check signed. Black people, look, we are the engine. Let's take America, for example. We build America. We are the engine to America. We keep it running. Take, for example, Atlanta International Airport. The whole staff there is 98% black. And since we started honoring our ancestors and speaking their name and accepting the voodoo and taking pride in ourselves, look at the wind that is going. Black people in America, it would take less than a week, 3 days. We stay at home, we go on strike. We don't show up at work, gatherings, nothing. The economy will not be able to function. Businesses will collapse. Lives will collapse. We will have the power to demand our reparations. At the same time, we go live on all social media platforms. The embassies in Africa closed down till you pass the reparation checks. The African leaders misbehaving and who were colonized to do exactly what they're doing. They're meeting in that ECOWAS all the time. The whole bus are arrested for humanitarian violations and corruption. This is how we fix it. And there's a shift in the world we're working and we're living in right now. There's a shift in superpowers. That Russian Putin going to Niger, and look how dare we, our children, look at the way they treated our children during the Ukraine beginning of the Russia war. And we turn around and accept Putin then. What do you think Putin, look, there's a shift in superpowers. If Africa and black people are not careful, right, we are going to go back another 400 years, and yet we are resilient, whatever, we always survive, but we are failing our children. We are failing our ancestors. We are also the future ancestors. You are going to be an ancestor longer than you are alive. So if you think you don't care now, you will understand when it's too late. So we need to rise up, come together, do exactly what the world is afraid for us to do. Start with America, stay in our homes, say no, we don't want to be part of your system anymore. We have the power. Sign those reparation checks. Then we move to Africa. If you have a business in Africa and you're from the European world, get out. This is a calculation. If you are prepared to pay reparations and raise the standard of all the locals from a certain radius to the standards of your world, then you can stay. If not, you get out. So we need to come together, rise up and demand reparations, because there is no freedom without money, and enough is enough. And we, look, the next coup that happens in Africa, right? Please, the African youth, listen to me. Revolution is led by the youth and is by the people. Add the embassies to them. Make sure all these American, European, Western embassies are closed down till reparations are passed. We don't have time to waste anymore. We don't have time to suffer anymore. We need to sit in our seats and take the glory and understand what it is to be black. There's a shift in superpowers. Let's show them. That Wakanda thing you watch, don't underestimate it. This is the time for the African Industrial Revolution. Things are compromised all the time when they are shipping through logistics and all those things. Africa has the opportunity to come up with the most expensive, premium quality out of this world electric thing, because we will do it right there in the Congo. We won't be no logistics to compromise it. That Wakanda thing, don't underestimate it. And as much as we're rising, they're going to come to us harder. So the struggle is on, and we can make it so easy in 3 days or in just 1 week.
Wow. Professor James Small.
No, I just want to thank her. There's nothing to add to that, except I know the president of Ghana in his speech on Emancipation Day said that he had been asked by the African Union to host a conference in October in Ghana on reparations. So at least now the African Union have stepped out fully clothed on the issue of reparations. And the plan is for that convention to be held in Ghana in October. And I plan to be back in Ghana. And I will be able to stop in Cameroon and see my sister and see how she's getting along. Or she'll be in Ghana reporting on Pan-African Daily TV from the conference.
Sure. That's what I wanted to say. You're passing through Cameroon, you take me, we go to Ghana, or we meet in Ghana. And then from there, we come back to Africa. It's either way, we are on the continent. Either way, we are on the continent. Thank you so very much. I mean, when you hear the power in the voice of this queen, And I mean, you hear the sound, how she's shivering and putting up the plan of action. It is over. It's enough. Africans have had it. I mean, like you hear that, Baba.
Oh,
Ain't we there?
everywhere you go, the young people are talking. I mean, I've always had a thing with young people, and I'm always hanging with young people. And even the young merchants and the young people, some of the people on the trip didn't understand how did all these young people know me in the marketplace. When I walk in, they go, "Hey, here come my father. Here come the prof." I've known them since they were like 5, 6 years old. Now they're 18, 19, 20 years old. Um, because I believe the young people is the future. Our job as elders is to give them the tools they need to build the future they want. The tools come through the mind. It's ideas, concepts, and principles that is fundamentally African at its core. So people can come up with concepts of building a life based on African principles. That's the key. And we can't stop saying, ECOWAS, back it up. Be telling ECOWAS, you know that dance? Back it up, back it up, back it up, ECOWAS, because you're going to find your children turning on you in every one of your capitals if you mess with those young people in Burkina Faso, and Niger, and Guinea, and Mali. You will find that your population of youth will not take this anymore.
Absolute. Absolutely. There's no way, there's no turning back. It's just one straight now. It's just one straight. Africa is at the table now to decide who I work with, who I trade with, who I deal with, or who I'm not. But we are saying, let's just even shut down Africa. We've been saying this, and first of all, deal with us. And when we deal with us, then we can sit now and say, okay, do we need this? Do they need us? But at a certain point, it has to be a ground zero. Thank you so much, Baba. Thank you. If we are not going to get any other comments coming up, I want to appreciate all of you that have been here, and the conversation and the spirit of One Africa is actually in this place. We see it. Baba came, Professor James went, everybody that was like, we went on this trip together. And we saw amazing pictures. I've been posting it on Pan African Daily, sending greetings from Professor James and how the trip is going on. The pictures of young people, and a lot. I'm still going to be sharing a lot, right? And so that's the spirit that we have to keep it unbreakable, unstoppable.
Mhm. You know, the beautiful thing is for our children to truly understand is that it's not a cliche to say you are the future. You're the only future the race has. And there's nothing to be afraid of. Just be you. You says, I want this kind of Africa. Built it. I want to control government. Run for it.
Mhm.
Leave the corruption behind. They'll come to put money in your hands. Turn your hands and drop the money. Do your hands this way. So they say, I tell you, I don't do this when I come. When I run for politics, I do this. Okay. I hold nothing in my hands except the truth of my mind and to be a servant for your people. The greatest leaders that ever lived were those who gave the greatest service to the people. If you're willing to be a servant for the people, you're, by the people's choice, the leader of the people. That's essential to understand, because it's not a game that you play. It is a sacrifice you will make. You won't have lots of money, but you don't need money because your people will take care of you. You won't maybe be famous, but that's fine, because in the world of the spirit, you will be famed. And someone said you will be in that world much longer than you're in this world. So
Mm.
you have to prepare for the world you're going to spend most of eternity in. And that is the world beyond this world. But even the world beyond this world is still this world, because there is not dual world. There is complementary opposite of the same world. See, spirituality is your reality. Then again, spirituality is not a religion. Spirituality is your reality if you understand it. See, Sister Susan Tata sits way in Cameroon. I sit here in New Rochelle, New York. But I'm Susan and Susan is me. The manganese and Susan have a conversation with the manganese and me. The iron and Susan have a conversation with the iron and me. The zinc and Susan have a conversation with the zinc and me. Because I am Susan and Susan is me, and I am nature and nature is me, and I am the light of cosmology and the light of cosmology is me. So we're all one, simply having our own peculiar version of the experience called life. Simply having our own peculiar experience called life, or version of the experience called life. African culture is based on reality. We use symbols to explain it, but it's based solely on reality. Understanding nature, learning from nature, partnering with nature, understanding cosmology, learning from cosmology, partnering with cosmology, and using that body of knowledge to create your social ecology. That's African culture, people. That's African spiritual science or sacred science. That's what people are calling African religion, those rules that is explained in that sacred science dissertation that we go through in our daily lives. And then we come back to less esoteric things. The people of Africa need the opportunity to enjoy the wealth of Africa, period. The people of Africa need the opportunity to enjoy the wealth of Africa. If the treaties that the current governments of Africa have with Western industry and corporations is not in favor of the people of Africa enjoying their wealth, then those treaties ought to be abrogated, torn up, and thrown in the garbage, and no ship or plane be allowed to leave Africa with any of its resources on until new treaty arrangements are made where the Africans are the favorite. As simple as that. This is
Simple as that.
it is as simple as that.
Simple as that. And like we were saying, we have. I saw Brother Ennis saying we need a cooperative trade. Of course, we're going to talk about the importance of AFTA, and
I
AFTA is
agree,
the African
Ernest.
Continental Agreement with the headquarters in Ghana. Those are also, in terms of economic and intertrade among African states. The African Union is very clear on this point, and we saw that they achieved that target. Now, even the blocks are collapsing, as we are seeing, not just only the situation with ECOWAS or what is happening. It's just a natural collapse of all those boundaries that would build us this one Africa. So trade, intertrade is already opening up the door to a one passport. And that one passport, because we need a common passport to be able to intertrade with one another. And that's also one of the things, like I said, I'm looking for that land. I'm still going around. Our diaspora center is the first step. We need a land. We build our office there and our structure there. From Cameroon, we connect the whole of West Africa to East Africa in the intertrade. That's the first part.
So
We need a place that is our own. We
I'm
know we
telling
are
you
renting
exactly
or
how to
doing
get it,
anything, and
Susan.
I need partners. We need partners. It's not Dr. Susan Tata. No. It's not Pan African Daily TV Center. No, that one is just a mini part of it. We need our land in Cameroon. We build the diaspora center. When we build the diaspora center, we're going to start trading. Whether it's East, West, Center, North, we have a center. We have a center. Ghana is our spirituality stronghold. Cameroon, most of us in Antigua, Barbados, Caribbean, and North American countries, we do know that our roots are from here. It is not for any single reason that they say Cameroon is small Africa. Understand? I mean, like the continent is reachable in every little space of time. So what I'm doing first is just trying to look at where we can get a good land, piece of land, and then we come up with the project, people that will work on the project, and we look for partners that we're going to fund it ourselves and we build our center. We're going to define the complex how we want it to look like. It must not be big. It must not be something already, even just a small place where we start and put our center of knowledge and training and education is very important for us. Very important. It would not take us $30,000 or $50,000. That's the smallest, minute thing. If we come up with 5,000, each of us from our organization, Sons of Africa, all the different organizations that we're having here, 150,000 or what is nothing that will put us a structure to start with. But we must do it, and it's now.
So let's think step by step. We know
Yes.
that most of the land in all of Africa belongs to the people of the varied villages.
Yes.
We need to put together our plan, put together our business plan and write it up. We need to put together our architectural plan and write it up. And
Yes.
then go to the chiefs and the queen mothers with those plans and ask them in the name of the ancestors that this land be given for this purpose.
Absolutely.
They have the power to do it. And if you come to them with the just and right accord, the ancestors will not allow them to refuse you. Because every chief in Africa, every queen mother in Africa, when they sit on the stool to receive you, they're no longer themselves. They have become the ancestors. Hear what I'm saying and understand me
Correct.
well.
Yes.
When they're
I
sitting
agree.
on the stool and they receive you who have come with the request, it's not the lady you knew or the man you knew from yesterday. This is now the ancestors, and they cannot refuse you if you've come in justice and honesty. But put the plan together in writing. Put the business plan together. Put the architectural plans together. Put your purpose, your aims and objectives together, and then go to them and said, I've come to my ancestors because this is what our needs are if we're to do this thing for the future. Don't be afraid to deal with the ancestors as a living organism, because when those people who are chiefs and queen mothers sit, they are the living organisms through which the ancestors communicate with us. Now that's
Yes.
our culture, and we need to understand it. That's our science, and we need not be afraid of it. So move in that way. And you will see you won't need a penny to get the land. You will need to raise funds to build a facility.
Absolute. Thank you very much, Baba. I'm already talking to some royals, just like you're saying in Boya and the other spaces. That's where we're going. That's for fact. It's our land, and I know they're going to give it to us. That's a fact. When they took us out, didn't our parents? I said it here. Didn't our foreparents, our mothers have land? What happened to it?
Mm-hmm.
They have to show us. Yes. Thank you, Professor James. Thank you. We would be having you. I mean, like we just resting, but we have work to do. We see now that
Mm-hmm.
coming up live, it's one of the best things that ever happened to Pan African Daily. I saw a lot of people you asking about membership. Like I said, YouTube cut off from empty. You don't even have any access to being a member again on YouTube, and that's fine. That's fine. We're going to create another source where we can receive donations. I see a lot of you asking where can I send. Don't worry, I'll be communicating that from the continent, and that's going to be reliable and safe for every other thing that we want to do. So, like Prof said, step by step. Another guest speaker that we'll be having any of these days, Maponga Joshua is already waging war. If anything
Mm-hmm.
would happen, just like you said, Baba, he said if anything would happen, he's already building an army, and Africa would go to war. And just like you say, so it's a time. I don't even think our war and our weapons is love and unity. This is all, and we're winning already.
And to be aware that the ancestors is an army that is around us. If we leave them there dormant, they cannot help us. If we acknowledge the fact that we realize and understand that we are surrounded by all of you who live before me, and as those around me. When
Yes.
we are clear on that, when we are clear on that, we can be free in ways we never understood. But I want to show some Moses. Somebody said, Moses, I'm going to give you a lesson, young man, married
Yes.
an Egyptian. Um, Joseph and that Egypt woman, so did Joseph. David married an Ethiopian. Well, David was Ethiopian, so was Moses in Egypt. White people have taken those names and flipped it to play some game on your mind. None of them was white. None. Moses was not white. The character they called Joseph was not white. The character they called David was not white. So they didn't marry an Ethiopian. That's the white man trying to own them by saying that when he changed the literature. Study the literature, and you'll find there's a literature before that literature that will explain those things more thoroughly to you. That we don't get the psychological splitting of the brain occurring with a scalpel that's not even sharpened. No. Every one of those names you mentioned was as black as the women they married. Only when the whites wanted to usurp those persons as their racial images did they make that dichotomic statement that presumed they were from another race. They never say they were from another race. They give you the presumption of that because those who have stolen your identity is from another race. So be careful how you get instructed and informed by the literature that have been interpreted by our enemy. I think that was very clear.
Very clear. That's
Context.
very clear, Prof. Thank you. I know you just you're tired. I mean, that's a fact. All of us are tired.
You know what happens at the end of 2 hours? I got to drive an hour to pick up my wife from where she works.
Yes.
We have 10 minutes, and then I have to go on my journey.
Of
Because
course I do. I
everyone
know.
else, I drink water to refresh myself. I eat food. I go take a bath. I go to the shower. I do everything everyone else does. You know, I got to go pick my wife up. If she feels like fussing with me for something today, I got to get fussed with. I got a plumber that was calling me while I was on the show because he's coming to fix the bathroom. I couldn't get him. So I'll get him to come and do it tomorrow. But we are normal. In our normalcy, we must be extraordinary.
We
In
are.
our normalcy, we must be extraordinary.
Mm.
You understand? And
Yes.
so Malcolm X was just a normal man, but he was extraordinary in his fight for the freedom of his people. You know, the king of the Zulus, Sechuweya. Sechuweya was a normal man. He had a mother, father, wife, and children. But as a leader of the armies of the Zulu, Sechuweya was extraordinary a man. Ya Santiwa was an ordinary mother and a wife. But when the British invaded her land and demanded the golden stool, the spirit of the Ashanti nation, Ya Santiwa became an extraordinary woman.
Yes.
Yet she was an ordinary woman who became an extraordinary woman for the sake of her people. Each one of us have to realize our ordinariness, but be willing to bring forth our extraordinariness for the sake of freedom for our people.
Hey, you're nailing it. Just as usual. Just I don't know how to say. You iron everything. Like we have to be unique. We have to just be different. The new normal is not existing anymore. If you don't make a difference, you're just the ordinary, and we are not ordinary. Nobody should understand us. Nobody understands us, as a matter of fact. They don't know. They see different shades and colors and everything. And that's exactly who we are. I want to thank you so very much, Papa. I know that
Oh,
you have
thank
something.
you. Thank you. And I want to leave one message for our brothers in Burkina Faso, in Niger, and Mali. They speak the French. Study the Haitian Revolution. Quickly, Study the Haitian Revolution. The
Okay.
message is there for you to maintain and sustain yourself. Study Dessalines. The message is there for you to maintain and sustain your revolution. Do it quickly, and then you'll appreciate coup peut-être pour les cas, because if they move on you with the materials that the Americans are amassing on your border, if they move against you with the materials they're bringing into Senegal, you will have to make decisions that history may hate you for, but Africans will love you for. Peace and blessings.
Peace and
Freedom or
blessings.
death.
Yeah, but we're having you again on Thursday. I mean, Thursday is set already for you.
Next week,
Are we okay? Next week, yes.
no, I will be doing a Marcus Garvey piece in Boston.
Oh,
But that'll be maybe after the lunch meeting. My lecture isn't until 6:30. Maybe we can do it in between that space. So we'll
in
talk over
between
the
this bit,
weekend.
we'll talk about it next week. I mean, we can
Yeah.
schedule you for Wednesday or Tuesday or Friday. But at least I just want to say once every week is what we're coming back to. And I'm also reaching out to Professor Pielo
Yeah.
and all the other speakers. It's time. We have to hit. We have to run with it.
This
Thank you
and
very
tell
much.
our enemy, if the revolutionary dies, we'll set fire to the skies. If our revolutionary dies, we will set fire to the skies. If our revolutionary dies, we will set fire to the skies. And you do not want fires in the skies.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ruba. Safe journey and
Peace
peace
and
and
blessings
blessings
to
to you
everyone
out
in the
there.
Pan African Daily TV audience. It's good to be with you again. It's always freedom or death, and we are shackled to our identity because that's what freedom means. Peace and blessings.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you for spending this quality time with us. Thank you, thank you. We need to move, people. We need to move, and I want to thank all of you that have been here. Yes, it's a fire show. Thank you, reparations, for your brilliant and powerful call that you made there. We love you all so much. Thanks, Moments with Lee J. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Monica Matamera. Oh my God, Matamera from Zimbabwe. Thank you so very much. Peace and power, and it's Parker reparations. You're saying, and I just want to shout out to you and all of you for tuning in. As usual, it's been powerful. Abdul Raham, thank you. Ayoka Efwa, thank you so very much, of course. And Keith Parker, Marshall. Soto, Kojo, Haya Haika, S.A. Smith, Leo Wright, thank you, Kojo Edefua, thank you, Banaba. Did I miss a name out here? Did I miss a name out here? Banaba Gilo, thank you. You saying thank you, Prof, for your tremendous effort. I want to thank all of you, Obaham. Thank you so much, Cheryl, Queen Cheryl. Thank you, SNTTISOM. I mean, I'm seeing some very new faces and new names here. Thank you so very much. I know you've been doing a lot to subscribe and to share, and we continue. You never gave up on Pan African Daily, even when we didn't tell you what was going on in the background. But you were faithful, you were loyal. That's how we know that Africa is connecting and we're uniting. Please do not forget to subscribe. Continue to share. We're live back together, and we want to take the next turn as we are rising. I mean, in the beginning, remember how we used to cry, how we used to empower each other, how we used to really mourn. Remember where we are coming from, how we invoked the ancestors, how we apologized even for letting them down, for refusing, for taking up names, for taking us every other thing, for believing in things that do not actually are ours. Remember how many times we started, how we labored, how we crippled, and yet we are still here to see the uprising. We're here to see the fruits of our labor. We're here to see the impact that we've created, bringing us together, the voices together. Imagine how we used to call our leaders out. Imagine how many hours we sat down day in, day night, every day, you and me on the platform here, calling on all of us to wake up. Imagine, it's just been 2 years as we launched this whole thing in April 2020. Today, we are in 2023. Okay, if you take out the cool period that we've done, it's absolutely almost 1.5 year to 2 years full show on the Pan African Daily TV. Our professors, our teachers, our mentors have never let us down. They've been faithful. They have stayed constant. They have never switched. They have never changed speech. They were never tired. Look at how they're aging. Look at all of us, how we're draining out. We don't worry. We don't even care how we look like, but we stand the course. That is what role models do. That is what the few that are chosen and called on purpose, on mission, to sacrifice, to spend that quality time, to call us to other, to activate the melanin in us, to activate our memories. We have to stand. We have to stand tall. I want to thank all of you. I want to appreciate you. And do not worry. The spirit of Ubuntu would give us always what we need. Remember, I used to tell you that we don't lack anything. We're not going to beg for anything. And we never beg for anything because we're the most richest, we're the most blessed, we're the most highly favored, we're the most everything, everything, everything. So our ancestors cannot create the universe, the totality of the God that we serve, and give us the most richest continent. Every little kind of diamond is found here. The rivers, the mountains, nature, all sort of biodiversity, species of all sort of insects, all sort of plants, all sort of animals, all sort of fruits, plants, everything in every color and shade, in every status, the poor, the rich, in spirit, the materially rich, in intelligence and everything, in creativity. What more else can we beg for? What more else can we beg for? What we're begging for is to activate that oneness, yes, the spirit of sharing, the original state of the African, to put ourselves first, to share with our poor, with our needy, to empower one another, our widows, our boys, our girls, our elders. What more else do we need? Our weapons is that same weapons, that same weapon that we say is love. That's why our ancestors, when they created the universe, they never gave us the knowledge to make weapons to kill. They only gave us our farms. They gave us the knowledge of dancing and entertainment. That is one of the biggest weapons of love. Anything that unites, they gave it to us. That's why we are unity. Our names are unity. Our names are love. Our name is peace. Our names is everything that was created out of the spirituality of unity and love and humanity. We don't even know how to fight. We don't even know how to destroy. All we are asking for is our own, just to be our own. That's who we are. So we're not going to change. We're not going to become something else. No, we're not going to fight each other. ECOWAS, we are calling on you to come back to your senses. We're calling on you to respect the rules that were set by your ancestors when they appointed you to be the ruler and to be the teacher of the universe, how to teach other people to be human and civilized. We are calling on you, ECOWAS. Who is sitting on that board? Nigeria and the president, Tinubu. We are calling upon you to come back to your senses. The Africans on the continent, in the world, and everywhere are standing in solidarity for peace, for love, for unity among us. That's all we want. Unity, nothing, the two sticks. And we shall not refrain from it. We shall not change from it. We shall not become other people. We shall not hate. That was not given unto us. That was not given unto us. If we were given that, we would have been something else. Africa, stay on your lane. Stay on your lane to be that great nation and people. Stay on your lane to teach the world what humanity is all about. Stay on your lane to continue to resist and to and not to become something else. These are two different things. We will not melt. The 2 cubes of sugar that did not dissolve, we will not melt. We will not melt. And so anything, our drinks, yes, exactly. Food, drinks, dance, spirituality, our lifestyle, our togetherness. Look at how we come together in everything. It's a continent called a continent of festivals. Why? Because that's what we were created to do, to celebrate one another, to love one another, to support one another, to be there for one another, until they taught us how to start hating each other, killing each other, standing and speaking with different voices. Who taught us that? Our ancestors were one. They believed in one universe. They lived with nature. They're still living with nature today. We walk on barefooted. They laughed at us and say, oh, they didn't have shoes. We're going to give them shoes. Okay? Our lips were tipped. Oh, they say, oh, look at their thick lips. Our buttocks were, they say, oh, look at them. Our bumps and everything. They gave us everything that the world is now replicating. They didn't stop from saying you were ugly and putting us in museums and putting us as exhibitions. Today, what are they doing? What is the world doing? Copying the same imitations and copycat prints. Africa, stay on your lane. You are the birthplace of humanity. You created all the shadows, in all the shapes, in all statues, you created them. What has made us? We would not change. We would not dissolve. We would continue to unite. We would continue to love one another. We would continue to speak with one voice. We would continue to preach love through our music, our poetry, our dance. But if you want to mess up with us, we're going to show you where the boundary line ends. Our ancestors did it, our foremothers did it, our forefathers did it, our elders are doing it, our youth are copying it, and they will do the same thing. Unstoppable Africa. I want to thank all of you. Tomorrow we want to get, I don't know, no. Tomorrow I want to go and do my hair. I miss my braids a lot. I've not been able, I'm taking time off tomorrow to do my braids, my African braids. 3 braids or whatever you call it, not less or what. Tomorrow is that time. So we'll not be live tomorrow. But I can guarantee you that during the weekend, Saturday, we're either going to get Professor Pielo Lumumba or we're going to get King Mapoka Joshua. And I bring you greetings from the kingdom of Embo. King Bong and I had a lengthy conversation with us today, and he called and he says, I said, greetings to all of you, my children out there. Please, my queen, help me to just tell them how much I love them. My queen, help me to tell them that Africa is waiting for them. My queen, help me and tell them that we miss and we need them. Embo Kingdom is open. Embo Kingdom is the embryo of Africa. Oh yes, I'm going to do box braid. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so yes, we are going to connect and we will stay. We will support each other. We will keep the ball rolling. No confusion among us. We know what we want. We know what we need. And we're just going to take only the little that belongs to us. And if we have the overflow, we share it with one another. That's African. That's how I grew up in my village to learn the solidarity among our elders, among our mothers, among our children. How we run around, we didn't even know that we were naked. That's why the Bible is Black history. If you don't manipulate it, when they told us that we were running naked in the Garden of Eden, and I see myself, we didn't even know until somebody like, oh, you were barefooted. We need to create shoes for you. But when it's summer out there, you see them running barefooted. Who would teach you what? You are the mother of the universe. You are the father of the nation, of the whole world. The only thing you know is love and unity, music, dance, good food. That's who you are. And nobody is going to change us. Our names are not going to be called wars. Our names are not going to become weapons. Our names will not change from the unity and the spirit of Ubuntu-ness. And we are going to carry it along the whole world. So I want to thank you, my brothers, my beloved. I am right where on the land of my foremothers. forefathers, right where you walk on barefooted, you feel the sun in your face, you feel every smile. Even the children that they say they don't have, you feel them every day. You see them laugh at you. They give to you. Nobody's coming to beg from you. Before you ask for water, you have it. That's how the spirit of Africa is. We share with one another. Until we were taught differently, until we were taught to seclude ourselves, to build tall walls around surrounding our houses. No, look at the villages. Where did we come with fencing? Is this an African nature? Is it an African? Go in an African village and show me one single house that is surrounded with tall fences because somebody's afraid that some other person would come in and steal. No, no. We are one. We are undefeatable. Whether you are coming in the name of blocks that you created. So what is even ECOWAS? For God's sake, what is this? When we go back to our prehistory and we go back to the royals, to the kingdoms of United Africa One. Did you ever hear that? When they begin to call all this paparampam, when I hear ECOWAS, SADC, whoa, 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 what is that? What is that? We only know about Ubuntu-ness. We know about the United Kingdoms and Queendoms of Great Africa, all over the world, in the Caribbean, in the Americas, in China, in Japan, in Europe, everywhere. Melanin is there, and you can stop it. Okay, so yes, let us see us on Friday or on Saturday, because like I said, I'm going to get my box braid. All right, and you see the beautiful queen sitting right here. Don't worry. I look drained, yes, like Professor was saying, because the continent is so sweet. That's the secret. It's not draining of because you are too much working and stressing. The drain is too much enjoyment, my people. Too much. Too much enjoyment. Everywhere is filled with noise, quality noise. It is not out there where you can't even make noise. Everything is ground zero. Everything is shh, shh, shh. No, don't make noise. People have to do that. Here is a free land. People dance, and birds join us in the parties. And they join us in the campaign to make the noise. Before it's 3 o'clock, the cocks, or 6 o'clock in the morning, you hear kukuruku everywhere. Even the birds are waking you up. They say we are alive. Okay? Every little thing is a living thing on the continent of motherland, on the continent of life. Every little thing. If it's not the dog, are dogs that bark for freedom. They're just free. They bark everywhere. Where do you see dogs that they just pamper them, carry them, and put them, and they're always like shh, always like quiet, always like, oh, it was like controlled how you behave. No, our dogs, our cats, they go out. Everything is free. The birds, the oceans, the floods, the everything. Everybody is free. Nature is free in Africa. People are free. That's the free spirit on motherland. So yes, like I said, we're starting with our diaspora center. We're gonna, even it's just a space where we gather every evening and where we train our young people, where we advise one another, where we counsel our girls, our women, our elders, where we're bringing back that spirit of what we went out in this adventure and bringing it back. Our experiences, what the kind of food, the kind of music, the kind of everything we have to bring back. When we say skills doesn't only mean we want to learn a trade. What trade were your ancestors not doing? Tell me. Except we want to bring back some other kind of things. But we have everything on the continent. So I want to thank you. I love you so much, my people. Tiny Kasali saying we are living free in Botswana. Of course, everywhere. From Cape to everywhere. I want to leave, but I see you joining. I can't even leave. I want to go, but I see you. The number's increasing. I have a broken voice because in Yaoundé it's been raining these days. It's cold. My nose is blocked and everything. But you know what? I'm just happy because that's how you know your immune system is working. In Africa, we don't call it diseases. No, we just say that you're being pushed. Your immune system is been punching your balls to see if you're still very active. Okay, and so yes, I'm thanking all of us for connecting, and we're going to keep doing it. The one good thing, like I was telling you about YouTube and all these platforms, is that we don't have any ads on our conversation, so it doesn't matter. We have a 2 hours conversation, there's not going to be any ads on it. So you can watch freely, you can download, you can chop into pieces, you can do TikTok videos with it, you can do Reel, you can do Thread, you can do whatever thing you want to do with the conversations that we're sharing here. Africa gives for free, and Africa gets it back for free. This kind of way of doing business, we never were like that. We were people, if you are not satisfied, I'm not satisfied. If my brother's house is on fire, no, 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 no. We all join and put it off, and then we build one after the other. All these kind of policies that we begin to see, oh no, we have to be in a win gain or in a this and this and this. For what? Just come and enjoy the peace, the love, the music, the good food. You know why I'm putting this diaspora center in Cameroon? I'll give you a lot of information about that. That's why even the French explorer, when they came and they said, this is Africa in miniature, this is small Africa. Are you talking about food? Are you talking about music? Are you talking about the different diverse culture? If we have to make even an African gathering here in Cameroon, you're going to see all the countries in Africa represented. Last night I met my African American sister, and we drank palm wine, and we ate fufu. That's why I was laughing when Professor James was talking about fufu and okra. Oh my God. The way we swallowed that meal, my sisters, my brothers, it's like we were coming out from a hunger land somewhere. And the waiter brought like calories, and she just threw it off. She said, Dr. Tata, we do it the African way. You understand? So good food. I mean, last weekend we were in a cabaret. What kind of sounds did we listen? That's why I said we're drained, because too much enjoyment, too much. But what are we doing? We're actually connecting our people. We're not just going out only to dance and celebrate, but talking to people, listening to young people. I told you the other day, my ears are just on the ground everywhere I go. I watch them. The way they laugh. Children are full in every compound. They laugh, they jump, they crying. That's life. What is a continent when you don't hear? All the statistics that is given, it's a young continent, is growing. Please, you need to be here and see it for yourself. I'm born and raised here, okay? Even a foreign national, but heritage here. Just come, look at all the compounds. Look at the streets, how full they are. People doing transactions here and there. That's what I'm saying. Business, of course, we allow our children to study and to learn, but the business on the street is a business for everybody. Imagine the youth learning already how to sell something. Doesn't matter what, somebody's busy selling something. And we're talking about intertrade. We're talking about economy. That's how you see the boom. That's how you see the transaction. It's not a street where you go in a whole place, everything is dry. You begin to ask yourself, where are people here? Where are some people here? All right, restaurants are full with organic, original food. I just begin to think, what am I going to do? Collect all these different dishes from the all African countries and just make a monthly buffet. It's everything. The different palm wine, the fresh one, the color nuts, okay, the bitter colors from all sorts of variants, the different tubers that you have. Oh my God, everything is here. In Africa we have everything, from animals to birds. Like I said, from everything. If you're not listening to music, there's going to be a croak that is crowing in your ears. There's going to be birds that are whispering and singing, or the rain falls on our zinc. That is just giving you a massage. What is it that we need, Africans? Come back home. Come and enjoy real life, real freedom. Come and let's build the Africa we want together. Come, the diaspora, we're waiting until you are here, then we will be complete. The missing part is still you out there in the diaspora, our children that are missing. So we're not complete. When we talk about African unity, it's waiting for you. All the years of you parading the street, most of you been murdered, been incarcerated, it's the time for you to come back home. Mother is calling. Mother Africa is calling. Just come, knock at every door to open the door for you. Okay? Thank you very much. And we see us again Friday or Saturday. Like I said, no, Friday, no. I'm already going. I already told you what I'm going to have. So Saturday, I guess, if not Saturday, Sunday, but you get to listen to us when you see us come live. All right? Look at the internet. We repaired everything. We had to buy an extra super fast connection, okay, where we can stream and get all of you watching. These are all things that we've been investing in. And so I'm really going to appreciate when we call out this fundraising for Pan-African Daily on the continent. And I will look for the official number where we're going to put our contributions live on the show. I really would be grateful. But until then, I wish you all peace and power and blessings in your different families, in your different homes, in your different communities. As usual, okay, if you're celebrating, go out there, spread the love, and that we are united. That's the good message. They say, go tell it on the mountain, and that what? No, we say, go tell it in every communities that we are united, that we are one, that the salvation of the African people by themselves is now. All the churches will be singing the freedom songs. We're still going to go into creating freedom songs. This is the time of freedom. We have to listen to all the Bob Marleys. We have to come out with new sounds. When we talk about Afrobeat, what's Afrobeat? We need the message of freedom. Just like 60 years ago, we saw all of them, the Burning Spears. Okay, all our freedom fighters come out with freedom songs. Where are our artists? Where are you people? Where are Pan-African artists? We're going to start doing short films. We're going to do movies, freedom movement. You saw when Sarafina sang the freedom song in the upper, and he said, now is freedom. Freedom is now. We need our artists to come on board. We need all of you talented poets to come on board. We need all the creators. We are rebuilding the Africa that we want. What are the songs that we should be listening to? What is the poetry? Where is the theater? Where is the dance? Where is the new songs of freedom and liberation? In the 60s, we are listening to the songs of freedoms today. Where are our artists? I need you on board. I need you to start composing as from today. Write all the lyrics. Sister Kalena, I know you are a good artist. You are a prominent writer. Please get on board now. This is the time. This is the time we have to sing the liberation song of Africa. The One Africa by Africans. The heat is on. Get back to your drawing boards. Go back to your composition. Just animate the melanin in you, the creativity of the African, the songwriter, the storyteller, the drummer, the trumpetist, everything that you were created with. This is the new song. This is the new dawn of the new Africa. This is the Africa that we want by Africans. What are we waiting for? It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's happening now. It's already happening. It had already happened centuries of years ago, but nobody was talking about it. Pan-African Daily has come to remind you that this is who we were, this is who we are, and this is who we will continue to be. I thank you so very much. And warm greetings also from King Maponga Joshua. And hopefully we're going to be seeing all of them. Okay? So good night, good night, good night, good night, good night. Again, I love you so much. And we're going to see ourselves during this weekend. Okay? Bye-bye. Bye.
You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tata. The Africa we want. Unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.
Thank you and good night again.